probably smoking your menthols. Well, I don't know what to think. I'll pull myself off the sidewalks. I've had enough of your tricks. I'm skating round in a circle. You'll always track down your kids. You make me wait, and now it's 9:15. I'm getting drunk in a parking lot. Let's take a skate. You said you'd meet me at the Leslie, and now you know where to be found. Now you know where to be found. Oh, now you know where to be found. Oh, now you know where to be found. A cab pulls up, and I can feel my whole heart drop. You speak to me. There's color on your frostbitten sheets. You said my car broke down, I was miles out of town, and I lost my phone last week. But if you've got the time, you've been on my mind, and I'd love to grab a little something to eat. You made me wait.
Oh, that's hot.
Now it's 11:45.
Oh, hey there,
Drinking chocolate at the
and welcome
coffee shop.
to episode 8 of Big Red's Kitchen. That was Nick Fay and the Deputies. And Nick and his band, well, Nick in particular is, one of those local Regina artists that, is always working hard and doing shows. At this point in time, though, he's not really doing too many shows. And that's obviously due to the ongoing situation. Now, he's been very vocal online about how it's a responsibility of an artist, maybe to take these kinds of things into consideration. I respect the hell out of that. So good on you, Nick, and keep on doing what you're doing. I'm actually going to be seeing Nick in concert via Zoom, and that's going to be for a Christmas party for my fiance's Christmas party at her work. So I'm kind of excited for that. So yeah, shout out to Nick. All right, well, you're seeing these beautiful hunks of meat and also some back ribs, of course. And so these are actually, sorry, not back ribs. So there's two kinds of ribs. There's back ribs, which come from higher up on the back of the pig. And then there is side ribs. Spoiler alert, they're from the side, closer to the belly. And today we're going to go through how to slow cook in the oven these side ribs. And the first thing we've got to do, though, is because obviously these don't look like ribs yet, and we're going to make these a St. Louis style. So we've got to do some butchering. And when we do some butchering, we need knives. Not that one, but this one. And so we are just going to make sure that this guy is nice and sharp. And so I'm going to take a look at this rib now. We've got two beautiful racks here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to line up the bottom of the rib at the bottom like this, on the bottom of your cutting board. Okay. And then what we're going to do, and I'm actually an idiot because we got to flip these. So we're going to do it like that. About the third or fourth line in, you're going to see that there is your longest rib in there. And so you're going to take the knife and run it along like so. And we're just cutting the cartilage here, okay? And then now we can keep on going all the way down like so. Now we don't want to throw this part out. It's really good pork. It's just not the aesthetically pleasing part that we want to see right now. Now we also are going to take this little cap on the end here and just square it off. And there we've got a St. Louis style rib, and that's what we want. It looks gorgeous, aesthetically pleasing, and if your food doesn't look good, you don't want to eat it. So we're going to do that with this one as well. And take it, take a look, longest rib right there, and gonna go like that, and we're just cutting off the cartilage as we discussed earlier. And now we're gonna take that and slice it all the way down. And you don't need a super sharp knife, but a sharp enough knife to cut through cartilage is good. You can take that, square it off on this side. And another beautiful rack, St. Louis style. There we go. So, I'm just going to clear this area up a little bit and do some wiping down. You don't need to see all that shit. And I'll be back after I wash my hands yet again. Can we turn the TV off? Stellar assistant over here. Messing with my shui. Oh, District makes a light beer. Didn't know that. Diet goals, awesome. Actually down 8 pounds in the last 2 weeks. So there's that, exciting. So what we need to do now is we also need to trim this guy up and remove the silver skin. And so just on the back end here, we don't want this extra stuff. It's kind of gross. That's okay. But just getting some of this stuff off. Of course, we turn the TV off. And then the dog decides to go absolutely crazy. I'll show you a picture of Finley in a bit, or maybe he'll join us later on in the episode. But as I said, just getting rid of some of this extra stuff there. That one's looking pretty good. You don't have to do this, but I don't know. I like a nice, clean rack of ribs. All right, so that's been done. And so now we're going to take off the silver skin. Now, you don't have to do this. A lot of people don't. Some people do. But, you know, when you're smoking ribs, you definitely want to take this off because it stops the smoke from permeating right into the meat, and that's the whole point of smoking. So don't leave it on if you're smoking. If you're doing it in the oven, not as big of a deal, but it's not my favorite because it kind of holds them together. It'll cook off a lot of it, but I don't know. So what we like to do is just remove that silver skin. And now if I butcher this up, I apologize, but essentially what you want to do is you just want to get one of the ends. So actually, wrong knife for this. So we're just going to cut a little bit into here and get it so we can get a little hold onto the skin here. Now take the very useful kitchen towel, and because it's slippery as hell, and we're just gonna rip it off like that. Sometimes you won't get it all in one go. That's fine. Just keep at it. And now most cooks can do this, no problem. I always have a hell of a time. There we go. Now we got a big piece. And that's how we do that. You can see, kind of open it up there a little bit. Now, I made another rookie mistake, and you can see my cutting board is going everywhere. What you can do is you actually take a piece of Kleenex, wet it a little bit, and put it underneath. That'll stop it from sliding around on you and causing issues with cuts and shit like that. All right. Got the silverbacks off. We're good to go. All right, we're all cleaned up, and we've gotten to the explaining how we're going to cook these bastards stage of the show. So we're going to use the very patented 3-2-1 method. So watching Michael Simon, who is a chef I completely admire and adore, and he does a 1-1-1 method, and I'll explain that in a second. So essentially what that means is when you're doing ribs, first, in my method, 3-2-1, you cook the rib with rub and everything like that, just straight for 3 hours. Then you wrap it and cook it for 2 hours. Then you unwrap it, spray something on it, and then cook it again for 1 hour. It's fantastic. I don't know any, real competition smoker or anything like that that doesn't use this method, and it's all very low. So I do it at 210 in the oven, and when I'm doing it in the smoker, I usually get my temperature around 215, 220 maybe. Now Michael Simon says that he did his at 325 and did 1-1-1. So I don't know. I guess the jury's out, but his ribs didn't look like they were that fall off the bone. So I'm not by any means saying that he doesn't know what he's doing, because he was a goddamn Iron Chef. But I think this method, this 3-2-1, is perfect. I've never had bad ribs come out of it. So I don't know. Try it out. Try both. See what you think. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to actually, and this it's going to seem weird, mayonnaise. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a light coat of mayonnaise on the ribs. And essentially all this is doing is it is allowing the dry rub to stick. Now, I'm doing Greek ribs today. The reason I'm doing Greek ribs is because A, fiance loves them, and B, they're keto friendly, and I am currently doing that fad diet. So, just a nice little layer of mayo. So if I was doing barbecue ribs or smoked ribs, I wouldn't use mayonnaise. I would use cheap, the cheaper the better, yellow mustard. And that is the way I do my barbecue ribs. And that's freaking delicious too. We'll do those when I've lost about 50 pounds. And it should coincide with when it's not winter outside and we can actually use the smoker without freezing our left nutsack off. All right, so we've got this smothered in mayo. Weird, whatever, try it, you'll understand. Another thing that you could use actually, and what I usually use when I'm not doing keto, is like a creamy garlic sauce. Works really, really well, and that kind of gives it an extra depth of flavor. So what we're going to do now, though, is we are going to have a beer break. God damn, that's good. Anyways, so now we got to make a dry rub. So essentially, it's Greek ribs. So just use Greek seasoning, right? But I'm going to jack mine up a little bit because Big Red don't play that way. So we're going to take a large amount of Greek seasoning. This is just store-bought, whatever. Going to add some Goya adobo, which we featured, I think, last week in our episode a little bit as well. I'm going to put that in there. Now, because we're doing it in the oven, we're not going to get that nice smoky taste that we get if we do it on charcoal or if we do it in the smoker. So a nice generous amount of smoked paprika. And because usually I'd use that garlic sauce like we talked, well, I can't do that because it's fucking full of sugar, which is the whole idea of the keto diet, is cutting out sugar. So I'm going to add that garlic spread that we love so much, and I'm going to add that as well. We're going to get this all mixed together. Just the rub itself smells so freaking good. And now we are going to, I like to call it chicken feeding, because it's kind of like you're going and spreading the chicken feed out on the farm. There's a bunch of farmers out there. That's not how you feed the fucking chickens. Well, fuck you. This is how I feed my chickens. Fuck you. All right. And we just want a light dusting, as you can see there. And we just want to make sure it's covered on. And that's why we put the mayonnaise on there, or in other cases, creamy garlic, or in other cases, mustard, as we discussed, is because now it just sticks on there. Now, some people will do both sides. I don't really care. The bottom side, there's absolutely no meat on there. So it's a waste to me of dry rub to even do it. So we're just going to let that fade over, and we'll get this beautiful, nice, even coverage of dry rub all across our ribs. All right, now, what's next? Well, the 3-2-1 method, as I mentioned, is that we start off just by putting this in low and slow, as we discussed. And take some tin foil, put that down. I don't really know why I put the tin foil there, to be honest, because this pan's going to get greasy and gross anyways. But for posterity's sake, let's call it that. And we're going to transfer these beautiful racks right on there. And so, 210 degrees is what we're working with. Now we wait. So I guess this is however many beers you can slam back in 6 hours. Thank God that I made an order through the Bruiser app, which I hope by now you guys have checked out, because I don't know, I can polish off a lot of light beer in 6 hours. So always, when you're broadcasting, put your hat on backwards. Otherwise, you get shadows in the face. No one wants to see that. I had a conversation with my good friends. Finley, the mic wire is for me, not for you. This is Finley. I'm sure you guys remember him. He's still a dickhead, but he's less of a dickhead. And we love him very much, even though he's a bitey little motherfucker. But that's okay. We're going to get through it. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. He's got a bone over there, so I'm going to let him go. Go get the bone. Less electronics, more bones. Jesus Christ. Anyways, Finley, ladies and gentlemen, he's a lovely one. I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. my friends over at the Squadcast. You should check that out. It's put on by IKS Media. They do a wonderful sports analysis show to kind of build off of what they do over at the Rod Peterson show. Definitely give it a look. Max and Clark. Unbelievable. Clark, I've known for years, worked with him in the sports field before, and he knows what he's doing. And I'm very impressed by his co-host, Max. The guy's really a lexicon of sports knowledge. So definitely give that a shout out. I'll put that link in the comments as well. Anyway, so it's been 3 hours since we last saw each other, and that means we're ready. And if you could just smell my house right now, you would just be on, Red, open up a smoke shack somewhere, get me some food. You got to come over and try this sometime. Once this pandemic's over, open invite. You tell me when, I'll cook you dinner. Cooking process. But just look at these ribs, already looking like a delight. Got some hot plates down there. And now we've got to get ready for phase 2. And much like I just did, that means hydrating. So we are going to create little pockets with this aluminum foil. We're going to put the ribs in there, add just a little bit of liquid so that the ribs get hydrated or get some moisture in them. And then we're going to put them back in the oven for 2 hours. 3, 2, 1. See what we're getting at here? So, these are so good. I love it. So, what I'm going to use for liquid, so usually I use apple juice or something like that. Since we're doing Greek, I've got some Kraft Greek feta salad dressing. Now, I love this stuff. It's really, really good. And I'm just going to take and put like a bead right along the side of it. I'm not going to put it directly on, but we're just going to put it on the side. And then we're just going to make a little bit of an envelope here. And placing those back on here. And we're going to put them back. 1 second. God. Put them back in the oven for 2 hours for the second phase of the 3-2-1 method. We'll see you guys in 2 years. 2 years. We'll see you guys in 2 hours. And welcome back. So, been 2 hours since we last saw each other. I missed you. Did you miss me? Good. Now, what we need to do, I need to get these ribs out of the oven. And we're going to transfer them over. That's a little hot. And so, you should see a lot of fat and liquid in the bottom here now. And what we're actually going to do, we're just going to leave them on the tin foil and transfer them back like this. Okay? Because at this point in time, we're literally just going to let them go on for another hour. Big waste of tin foil, but that's okay. And we're going to see this. Oh, I can't tell you how amazing this smells. And what you'll see, if you can see here, the meat is starting to peel back from the bone a little bit, which is a good sign. And I've still got a little bit of the rub, just a tiny little bit. And I'm just gonna chicken feed that on there. That rub is so good. So we're gonna finish off the 3, 2, 1 method, and we're putting this back in for 1 more hour. And then after that, we'll be resting everything, because we got to make sure that the meat contracts again. Otherwise, it's just going to be a mess, and you've got pulled pork, not ribs. And so yeah, we're just going to put this back in 1 second. Safety first. Three, two, one. We'll see you in an hour. The collection is growing, but we're almost done. So essentially, we've actually gone through the 3, 2, 1 process. And now we're going to pull these delicious ribs out. And so, look how beautiful this looks. I'm just gonna take a little bit here and just... Hey, nondescript thing that I'm not gonna get sued for using your name. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop! Sorry. She got weird there. These taste unbelievable, by the way. Finley, I'm sorry for yelling. I love you. I'm just processing that bite I just took. These ribs are fantastic, as they are every single time that I make them. 3, 2, 1. Goddamn delicious. Trust me, Michael Simon, obviously a little bit off on his shit. I won't hate him. I'm going to post this on Instagram. I'm going to tag him in it. So I'm not liking this 111 shit that you're doing, but whatever. Try this. Big Red's ribs are unbelievable. We're going to let these rest though, and then we're going to be back. The reason we're going to let them rest too is because we want the meat to recontract. So right now it's loose, it's all hot, full of juices. We want those juices to kind of leave the meat. We want it to come back and just firm up a little bit so that we can cut them. Then we're gonna reheat them a little bit, and then we're digging in because these are goddamn delicious. We'll be back. All right, so we've got these. These have been resting for about 10 minutes or so. And what that allows us to do is to make them nice and pliable. See how they're not completely falling off the bone, but we've got at least the meat just coming right off the back there. Now we're talking. These taste so good. Now, what we're going to do is we need to, they're not cold, but they're not hot either. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this Kraft stuff that we were talking about, and we're just going to drizzle it on. And these taste good. We're going to, before touching our appliances, wash our hands. But we're going to switch it over to broil. And so we're going high heat, and not for a very long time either. So we'll just let that kind of warm up for a second. And so open the bad boy up. Be able to hear it too, because you'll hear a little sizzle off the top. We're just trying to get a little bit of bark. So when you're smoking ribs, you get that bark. It's naturally created throughout the process. It's really hard to replicate that when you're doing the actual ribs in the oven. They're going to be beautifully tender, especially if you use that 3-2-1, but they're going to miss that little bit of bark, that little bit of caramelization on the top that you're really looking for when you're getting a good bite out of a rib. And that's why we're doing this. It's been about 2 minutes. I think that'll be good. And those oils are just shimmering beautifully. And so now, looking for a serrated blade, because it's really going to cut through. But we're talking perfectly cooked ribs, and this is just going to pull off the bone. The firmness is still there. That's because we rested it. And it just pulls off the bone beautifully. The flavor, oh my God. It's got a little bit of the citrus. The mayonnaise that we put on there at the beginning caramelized really nicely and really made sure that the entire meat is really moist. I'm telling you, boys and girls, this is a perfect rib. And now you know how to cook it too. So, thank you so much. This was episode 8, rib episode of Big Red's Kitchen.